trust this crowd to get it done. Thank you. Our next reader is someone that we at Lenny adore. She wrote one of Jenny and my favorite essays of all time about the day her Sims turned on her and each other. She's widely published. She's totally delightful. She's Gabrielle Rucker.
Excuse my black makeshift family for screaming. Thanks, Mom. So despite my voice, I'm really excited to be here. This is literally how I speak. I'm not playing at all. There's nothing funny in this. I'm sorry. I took a quiz once online that says I skewed towards melancholy. It was right. So this starts off with a quote from Sandra Nerso. I feel like I said that wrong. I'm gonna mispronounce a lot of shit tonight, and it's gonna be even weirder. Thank you. But the quote is, "If I'm a witch, then so be it," I said, and took to eating black things. Huitlacoche, the corn mushroom, coffee, dark chilies, the bruised part of fruit, the darkest, blackest things to make me hard and strong. The first food I'd remember truly enjoying was a tortilla. I was at my grandmother's house in Peoria, Illinois, perched atop a small plastic step stool. I had spent the morning watching her cook, hoisting myself onto my tiptoes as she worked, waiting patiently for the last of the tortillas on the cast iron skillet to finish. The house smelled sweet and musky, like butter and grandmotherly antiques. In the living room, a Shirley Temple movie played to an empty couch. Between the sizzling of tortillas, Shirley sang, her voice coy and doll-like. My grandmother sang along, her accent catching and trailing behind her. Being the first one up, I was rewarded with a small prize, a fresh tortilla slathered in butter and sprinkled with sugar. I took the tortilla happily, handling it gently, afraid that it might rip apart. It was speckled with soft brown dots and puckered delicately under my hands, coating my fingers in warm butter. "Ay, mija, don't tell your mama about all that sugar." I nodded obediently. Cautiously, I brought the tortilla up to my lips to blow away the steam. It was in this moment that I understood that food could double as affection, could become a language, a secret shared from one person to the next. What my grandmother had given me was an invitation, a pinpoint to a location that I could always meet her at, concealed from time but never taste. My mother never learned how to cook like my grandmother, never learned to speak like her or hold on to time the way she could. Instead, she learned to find people that did. Throughout her adulthood, she trained herself to find the flavors she grew up with, eventually enlisting the help of my younger sister and I. Together we searched, slowly slinking our way through restaurant after restaurant, quietly whispering amongst ourselves, "It's good, but it's not like grandma's. No, definitely not like grandma's." Our search became a tireless game, and for years we crept along the streets of Metro Detroit in our mother's blue Oldsmobile, looking for a way to get our grandmother's cooking close to home, to make our mother's childhood ours. In the 5th grade, I asked my grandmother to send my sister and I her recipe for tortillas. A week later, a letter appeared in the mail, our names written in scratchy cursive on a pink envelope. The recipe was written on a small piece of stationery decorated with a pair of cats playing in tulips. It is a short recipe, outlined with simple but precise instructions. Attached is a second letter of encouragement expressing delight at our curiosity while offering sagely advice. "Don't worry if the first few turn out bad," she writes. "It might take a while for you to find your way." The first couple of tortillas burn, blackening before they even have the chance to bubble, filling the kitchen with smoke. It is my sister and I's first time making anything from scratch. We eyeball the recipe suspiciously, wondering what we are doing wrong. We adjust things. We add and subtract. We ask our mother for help, but she recoils, preferring to watch. The tortillas come out oblong and underdone, burnt and crisped, never right. Near the end of our dough, my sister begins to cry frustrated, childish tears. Maybe we can all try again tomorrow, my mother offers. Your grandma said it might take some time. At 18, I moved to Chicago and spend my days eating through the neighborhood. I live in a small, slanted apartment in the heart of the city's Mexican community on the same block as the El Milagro tortilla factory. I roam the streets undetected, overlooked by women that look like my mother, men that look like my uncles. Without my mom, I fade into the background. Without my mom, people think I am visiting. At the taquerias, I stumble over language, embarrassed at my cultural deficiencies. I point at the menus and smile, wondering what the women taking my order think of me, or if they do at all. On the train, a woman with a daughter brown like me starts speaking to me in Spanish. Her hair is braided thick like my mother's, the little girl's huddled into a curly mess like mine. I reply quickly. The English that comes out of my mouth sounds sharp and shameful. I'm sorry, I say. I can't speak Spanish. I'm really sorry, I don't know how. The mother apologizes. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's just, I thought maybe you might be, you look so much like my older daughter, I could just tell. Sorry, it's just you are, aren't you? The little girl is staring at me, confused but intrigued. She is small, bundled up in a large pink coat and boots. Her feet hang over the seat, swaying back and forth. She is saying something to her mother in Spanish, and I am hurt by her tiny voice, her already effortless pronunciation. I look at her and think, how strange that someone so small could already be so much more complete than I am. I'm sorry, the mother says again. You just look like you might have been one of us. In New York, I am still playing my mother's game, but my findings are slim, tucked away in the corners of subways or in the back of no-name bodegas. Convinced that it will be harder to find what I am looking for rather than make it, I start to cook more. My kitchen is small, but I find ways to squeeze myself and 2 armfuls of groceries inside. I bring one of my bedside tables into the kitchen for more counter space, buy a shelf to keep things high and out of my way. Cooking is incantation, a way to trick the dead back to life or create love out of thin air. When I am cooking, I am lended the powers of grace that come before me. Sylvia, Felicitas, Zenadia, and all the others lost to history. At the grocer's, I stall, palming each piece of produce while muttering to myself as if I were reciting a spell. This one will ripen in about 2 days. This one is sour and will rot. This one will be sweet inside. When I am cooking, I often have no plan. There seems to be a sixth sense that drives me, the same one that hurtles me towards grocery store after grocery store, looking for the taste of ancestry that eludes me. On good days when I am especially inspired, I trek through Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens, visiting all of my favorite stores looking for deals. I spend hours grocery shopping, meandering through the aisles meditatively, quietly gathering whatever it is I need or think I might. You're like your grandmother, my mom says one night over the phone after I told her I spent the whole day grocery shopping. She used to make us travel for miles just to get one thing. At home, I carefully arrange my purchases, pleased with the things I've brought and their potential. I text my mom pictures of the meal I make. I send her recipes and names of restaurants I think she might like if she ever comes to the city to visit. You made that? She asks, always surprised. You're much better than I ever was. I was burning soup at your age. I am eating dinner when my mother tells me she is sick. Immediately, my appetite vanishes, evaporating into whatever ether consumes our comforts when bad news arrives. I spend the next few weeks crying, barely eating. I take a day off work to think and instead find myself in Queens fishing crumbled dollar bills out of my wallet for the lady at the tamale cart. Again, I am not recognized, othered, and I wonder how people will know who I am once my mother is gone. At home, I unwrap the tamales and watch the steam rise. For the first time in days, I am hungry, ravenously hungry, and as I devour the tamales one after the next, I realize that this is another pinpoint, another place to meet the people that recognize me, the ones who will eventually be gone. I start to cry again, big ugly tears that nearly choke me, but I keep on eating, too hungry to stop. Ugh. Too excited by the way they taste, the way they melt in my mouth, by the look of the corn husk and foil littered across my floor. A surge of memory hits me, a swelling so big it engulfs my room. Where will my mother go? My grandmother, my sister, our memories of one another. My appetite is vanishing again, and my body turns on itself, ready to make itself sick. Carefully, I wrap the last tamale in a Ziploc and stick it in the freezer, hoping it won't get frostbitten by the time I need it again. To say I am homesick would be incorrect. I have never been to Mexico. I do not know the things my grandmother knows. I do not know the secrets of my mother. For me, my motherhood is a felt thing, a memory that has attached itself to my back, guiding me here and there. I am not Mexican in any way that you can see. Unlike my mother or cousins, my country does not live on my face. I am not Mexican by dialect, but my tongue knows what home tastes like, and my mouth craves heat and corn, black red foods that my American accent stumbles upon. I am not Mexican through passport, but through gut and memory, things that are more honest than the place I was born. I've inherited more than a face, more than a body. I have inherited a tongue, a greediness, a hunger so old and true that I do not need language to know it.